The laughter echoed through the training arena like thunder. Scales crashed into the safety net for the third time that morning, his bronze wings tangled in the mesh. Above him, other dragons soared through the obstacle course with natural grace, their larger bodies moving like they were born to fly through tight spaces. Did you see that? He flew right into the wall again. Blaze's voice carried across the entire facility. The Crimson Dragon hovered near the starting platform, his massive wings creating gusts that made the smaller aliens scatter. My grandmother flies better than that, and she lost a wing in the border wars. The other dragons joined in. Their mockery hurt worse than the bruises covering Scales' body. He untangled himself from the net and glided down to the locker area, keeping his head low. His flight instructor had already left, shaking his head in disappointment. In the changing chamber, Scales removed his practice harness with shaking claws. The metal had rubbed his shoulders raw. He was smaller than other dragons his age, his bronze scales dull compared to their brilliant reds and golds. His wings, though proportional to his body, looked pathetic next to the massive spans of his peers. You plan to come back tomorrow, or are you finally going to quit? Blaze landed beside him with perfect precision. 3 other dragons flanked him, all wearing their competition medals. Save yourself the embarrassment. Dragons like you weren't meant for the academy. Scales said nothing. What could he say? The results spoke clearly. Dead last in every aerial competition. Worst flame projection scores in his class. His landing coordination was so poor that instructors made other students watch his attempts as examples of what not to do. The clan elders sent me a message about you, Blaze continued, examining his claws with false disinterest. They said you're a disgrace to Pyraxis. They're considering removing your family name from the honor rolls. That hit harder than any physical blow. Scales grabbed his belongings and left without responding. Blaze's laughter followed him into the corridor. The observation deck was empty at this hour. Most students were either training or celebrating their victories in the dining halls. Scales pressed his snout against the viewing window, watching the stars beyond Station Olympus 7. Somewhere out, there was Pyraxis, his volcanic homeworld, a place he might never return to with honor. He had come to the Galactic Athletic Academy with such hope. His parents had saved for years to afford the enrollment fees. They believed their son would bring glory to their clan, would compete in the great games, and make the family name legendary. Instead, he was failing at everything dragons were supposed to be naturally good at. Maybe Blaze was right. Maybe he should quit. That's a pretty defeated posture for someone so young. Scales turned quickly. An elderly human stood a few feet away, leaning on a walking stick. His hair was white, his face covered in wrinkles. He wore a simple academy coaching uniform that looked too big for his small frame. I'm not bothering anyone, Scales muttered, turning back to the window. No, you're just bothering yourself. The human moved closer, his stick tapping against the floor. I watched you run this morning. The wings sprint through the arena. Scales felt his scales flush with heat. Of course someone had watched his humiliation. Then you saw how terrible I am. I saw someone trying to fly like he was twice his size. The human leaned against the window beside him. Tell me something. When you practice, whose techniques do you copy? What do you mean? Do you train the way you naturally move? Or do you train the way the bigger dragons move? Scales thought about it. His instructors always showed videos of champion dragons, all of them massive and powerful. Every drill was designed for their body type. I train the way champions train. And how's that working out? The blunt question stung. Scales looked at the human properly for the first time. Despite his age and small size, he stood with absolute confidence. His eyes were sharp, missing nothing. Who are you? Raymond Foster. People call me Ray. I'm part of the Human Cultural Exchange Program. I coach athletics back on Earth. Ray tapped his stick against the floor. Your instructors are teaching you to be something you're not. They're teaching me to be a proper dragon. No, they're teaching you to be a dragon you'll never become. You're built different. Smaller, lighter, different proportions. Ray pointed his stick at Scales' wings. Those aren't weak wings. They're just being used wrong. Scales felt a flicker of something he hadn't felt in weeks. Hope, maybe. Or perhaps just curiosity. What do you mean? Back on Earth, We have all kinds of flying creatures. Big ones, small ones, fast ones, graceful ones. The small ones don't try to fly like eagles. They use their size as an advantage. Ray smiled. You're not weak. You're just playing the wrong game. The Academy only has one game. Dragon Sports. Then maybe it's time to change the game. Ray pulled out a datapad. There's an aerial agility competition in 6 weeks. Most dragons ignore it because it focuses on precision and technique instead of raw power. Enter it with me as your coach. Why would you help me? Because I've spent 50 years coaching athletes that everyone else gave up on. And because I'm betting you're a lot stronger than you think. Ray extended his hand. A human gesture Scales had learned meant agreement. Train with me. If you still want to quit after 3 weeks, I won't stop you. Scales looked at the withered hand, then at the empty observation deck, then back at Ray's confident eyes. He had nothing left to lose that he shook the human's hand. Good, Ray said. Tomorrow morning, training base 7. Bring water and an open mind. We're going to rebuild you from the ground up. As Ray walked away, Scales felt something shift inside him. Maybe he was still a failure. Maybe this human was crazy. But for the first time since arriving at the Academy, someone had looked at him and seen potential instead of disappointment. Tomorrow would be different. It had to be. Training Base 7 was older than most facilities at the Academy. The equipment looked ancient compared to the shining halls where champion athletes practiced. Scales arrived early, nervous energy making his tail twitch. He expected brutal drills, the same exhausting routines as regular instructors used, but somehow worse. Ray was already there, arranging small objects on the floor in careful patterns. You're early. Good. The elderly human straightened up slowly, his back making small popping sounds. First lesson. Forget everything your instructors taught you about power. But power is what dragons are known for. Power is what big dragons are known for. You're not big. Ray picked up a smooth stone and tossed it to Scales. Squeeze that as hard as you can. Scales caught it easily and clenched his claws around the stone. His muscles strained, but the rock didn't crack. Now watch. Ray took the stone back and placed it on the ground. He picked up a small hammer and tapped the stone precisely at one point. It split perfectly in half. See? Not about force. About knowing where to apply pressure. The morning's training was nothing like Scales expected. No flying drills. No flame practice. Instead, Ray had him stand on one leg, balancing on increasingly smaller platforms. It felt ridiculous. This is stupid, Scales muttered after 10 minutes of wobbling. How does standing on one foot help me fly? Your flight instructors teach you to power through movements. I'm teaching you to control movements. Ray walked around him in a slow circle. Every motion you make in the air starts from your core balance. If your balance is wrong, everything else falls apart. By midday, word had spread about Scales' new training routine. Dragons gathered outside the bay windows, watching and laughing. Blaze pressed his snout against the glass, his eyes full of mockery. The weak dragon is learning to stand still. How terrifying! His voice carried through the walls. The crowd of dragons roared with laughter. Ray ignored them completely. Block them out. Their opinions don't matter when you're working on yourself. Easy for you to say. They're not calling you a disgrace. Actually, they are. Ray pulled up his datapad, showing messages from other academy coaches. The words were harsh. Waste of time. Foolish human methods. That dragon is beyond help. Everyone doubts until results prove them wrong. Let them doubt. The afternoon brought new surprises. Ray showed Scales videos from Earth. Gymnasts flipping through the air with perfect control. Divers entering water without a splash. Martial artists using an opponent's strength against them. These humans are so small compared to most aliens, Scales observed. How do they compete? By being better, not bigger. By using technique where others use force. Ray paused the video on a gymnast mid-flip. See how she tucks tight? That's physics. Smaller rotation radius means faster spin. Your smaller size could be the same advantage. Scales had never thought about it that way. Dragon culture celebrated size and strength. Technique was considered something lesser species needed because they lacked natural power. Watch this. Ray showed another video. A small earth bird chasing away a massive eagle from its nest. That's a hummingbird. It can fly circles around bigger birds because it's built for agility, not power. Does that make it weak? No, Scales admitted. It's just different. Exactly. Different isn't weak. It's just playing a different game. Ray, close the data pad. Tomorrow we start actual flight training. But we're going to analyze your body first. Figure out what you can do that bigger dragons can't. The next few days followed the same pattern. Ray had Scales move through slow, controlled exercises. They studied videos of Scales's failed flights frame by frame, identifying exactly where his technique fell apart. The answer was always the same. Scales was trying to copy movements designed for bodies twice his size. Your wings are smaller, yes, but they're also more flexible, Ray explained, manipulating Scales's wing joints carefully. See this range of motion? Bigger dragons can't bend like this. They'd snap their wing bones. Other species at the academy started watching with genuine interest instead of mockery. A mantis-like alien approached Ray after one session. Your methods are unusual, the alien said, its voice clicking. But I notice improvements in his coordination. Humans learned a long time ago that every body is different, Ray replied. We had to, since we're not the strongest or fastest at anything. We survive by being adaptable. Director Quillix visited the training bay on the 5th day. The mantis-like administrator watched silently as Ray had Scales practice tight, turning circles in the air, each rotation getting smaller and more controlled. This is not traditional dragon training, Quillix observed. No, it's not, Ray agreed. Traditional training isn't working for him. The aerial agility competition is in 5 weeks. You truly believe he can compete? I believe he can win, if he keeps learning. Quillix's antennae twitched with what might have been skepticism or interest. I will be watching this development closely. That evening, Scales returned to his quarters exhausted, but feeling different than before. His muscles ached from Ray's strange exercises, but it was a good ache. The ache of working correctly instead of fighting against his own body. Blaze was waiting in the corridor outside his room. 5 weeks until you embarrass yourself in front of the entire academy, the Crimson Dragon said. Training with that tiny human won't change what you are. A weak dragon playing pretend. For the first time, Scales didn't look away. Maybe I'm different. Maybe that's not the same as weak. You keep telling yourself that. Blaze snorted flame, singeing the wall beside Scales's head. Just remember, when you fail, you're proving every dragon who doubted you was right. As Blaze flew away, Scales touched his wing joints, feeling the flexibility Ray had pointed out. He thought about the hummingbird chasing away the eagle, about gymnasts defying gravity with technique instead of power. Maybe he would fail. But at least now, he was trying something different, and different was starting to feel like it might be enough. Week 2 brought Rayal flying practice, and Scales discovered just how different Ray's approach truly was. Stop thinking about power, Ray called from the ground as Scales hovered above the practice course. Think about flow. Water doesn't force its way around rocks. It finds the path of least resistance. The obstacle course looked simple. 5 rings hanging at different heights and angles. Champion dragons blasted through them in straight lines, using pure speed and strength. Ray wanted Scales to do something completely different. I want you to glide through without a single unnecessary wing beat. Use momentum. Let physics do the work. Scales dove from his starting position, wings tucked tight. As he approached the first ring, he extended them just enough to catch air and curve his path. The movement felt natural, efficient. He rolled through the second ring, his smaller body allowing rotation that bigger dragons couldn't manage. Third ring, fourth ring, fifth ring. He landed without a single forced movement. That's it. Ray's weathered face split into a huge smile. That's the difference between fighting the air and working with it. Again, they practiced for hours. Each run got smoother. Scales began to feel his body differently, understanding what Ray meant about flow and efficiency. His flame practice changed too. Instead of trying to create massive bursts like other dragons, Ray had him focus on precision. Hit that target. Ray pointed to a small circle painted on the far wall. Not around it, Not near it. Dead center. Scales's first attempts scattered wide. His flame control had always been poor because he was trying to generate the volume of fire that larger dragons produced. Ray changed the approach entirely. Smaller, tighter controlled. Think of it like threading a needle, not burning down a forest. The breakthrough came on the third day of flame training. Scales exhaled a thin stream of fire that hit the target perfectly. Then he did it again and again. You'll never outblast the big dragons, Ray said, but you can outprecise them every single time. In the agility competition, precision matters more than power. Word of Scales's improvements spread through the academy. Other athletes started lingering near Training Bay 7, watching through the windows. Not all of them were mocking anymore. Some looked genuinely curious. A bird-like alien named Whistler approached during a water break. Your turning radius has decreased by 40% in 2 weeks. How? Different training methods, Scales said, still catching his breath. The human coach. He understands that bodies work differently. He's not trying to make me into something I'm not. Whistler's feathers ruffled thoughtfully. Perhaps I should observe more. My instructors also compare me to species I will never match physically. Director Quillix began attending training sessions regularly, taking notes on a datapad. After one particularly successful run where Scales completed a complex spiral descent that even some champions struggled with, the administrator approached Ray. Your methods produce measurable results, Quillix said. The Academy Council has asked me to document your techniques. I'm just teaching him to use what he already has, Ray replied. Every coach should do that. Not every coach sees what you see. Quillix's antennae gestured toward Scales, who was practicing controlled hovering. Most would have given up on him. That's their loss, not his. The hardest part wasn't physical training. Ray introduced mental preparation, a concept completely foreign to dragon culture. Close your eyes, Ray instructed one afternoon. Visualize the entire course. See yourself flying through it perfectly. Feel every movement before you make it. This seems like a waste of time. Champions on Earth spend half their training on mental preparation. Your body can only do what your mind believes is possible. Ray sat down on a bench, his old bones grateful for the rest. Right now, you still believe you're the weak dragon everyone says you are. We need to change that belief. Scales tried the visualization exercise. At first, his mental image kept showing him crashing, failing, proving Blaze right. But Ray was patient. They practiced the mental training every day, and slowly, the images in Scales' mind started showing success instead of failure. 3 weeks into training. Ray entered Scales into a practice tournament. Not the main agility competition yet, just a small warm-up event that most champions ignored. You're not ready, Scales protested. You're more ready than you think, and you need to feel what competition pressure is like. Ray handed him the registration form. Besides, nobody important will be watching. It's perfect. The practice tournament attracted mostly younger athletes and non-dragon species. Scales flew his runs using everything Ray taught him. Smooth movements, efficient turns, precise flame control. He didn't win, but he placed 5th out of 20 competitors. 5th, not last. The result shocked everyone, including Scales himself. His regular flight instructor cornered him after the event. What has that human been teaching you? Your technique has completely changed. He taught me to stop trying to fly like I'm someone else. The instructor's expression shifted between confusion and reluctant respect. Your form is unorthodox, but it works for your body type. I should have seen that earlier. That evening, Scales received a message from Pyraxis. His parents had heard about his 5th place finish. The message was short but warm. Keep going. Make us proud. It wasn't much, but it was more support than he'd received in months. Blaze, predictably, had a different reaction. He confronted Scales in the dining hall, his voice loud enough for everyone to hear. 5th place in a tournament that doesn't matter, against competitors nobody cares about. You think that proves something? It proves I'm improving. It proves you can beat children and weaklings. The real agility competition is in 3 weeks. I entered just to watch you fail in front of judges who actually matter. Blaze leaned close, smoke curling from his nostrils. You're still the same pathetic dragon you always were. A little human trick training won't change that. Scales met his eyes without flinching. Then you have nothing to worry about. As Blaze stormed away, Whistler landed beside Scales. He fears you. That is why he is so aggressive. Blaze doesn't fear anything. He fears being wrong. If you succeed, it challenges everything dragons believe about strength and power. Whistler's eyes glinted with amusement. That terrifies them more than any physical threat. Later that night, Ray found Scales on the observation deck, staring at the stars. Nervous about Blaze? Should I be? He's bigger, stronger, and more experienced than you. Ray leaned on his walking stick. But he's also rigid. He only knows one way to fly. You're learning to adapt. That's your advantage. What if it's not enough? Then we learn from it and come back stronger. Ray smiled. But I don't think it'll come to that. You're ready for this. Scales hoped the old human was right. Competition day arrived with perfect weather. The main arena was packed with spectators from across the galaxy. Scales had never seen so many beings in one place. His stomach felt like it was trying to escape through his throat. Breathe, Ray said quietly. They stood in the competitors' staging area, surrounded by athletes from dozens of species. Remember, you've already done the hard work. Today, to show everyone what you've learned. Scales nodded, not trusting his voice. Across the staging area, Blaze was surrounded by other dragons, all of them looking confident and powerful. When Blaze spotted Scales, he made a show of laughing and pointing. His friends joined in. Ignore them, Ray reminded him. Their opinions don't change what you can do. The aerial agility competition drew 73 competitors. The course was brutal. Tight spiral sections, precision flame targets, narrow gaps that required perfect body control, and obstacles that changed position mid-flight. Organizers had designed it to test every aspect of aerial skill, not just speed or power. First-round eliminations were harsh. 30 competitors would advance. The rest went home. Scales drew a middle position in the flight order. He watched the early competitors tackle the course. Many flew with pure aggression, trying to power through obstacles. Some succeeded. Most didn't. A large reptilian alien clipped his wing on a turning gate and crashed out. A graceful flyer from a low-gravity world couldn't handle the tight spaces and had to withdraw. Then came Blaze's turn. The Crimson Dragon launched from the starting platform like a missile. He attacked the course with overwhelming force, his massive wings creating gusts that shook the spectator stands. When he hit the spiral section, his size became a problem. He barely fit through the turning rings, scraping his scales on the edges. But he powered through anyway, using raw strength to compensate for lack of precision. The flame targets gave him more trouble. His powerful bursts were too large for the small scoring zones. He hit the targets, but with terrible accuracy, losing points with every shot. Still, his speed was incredible. He crossed the finish line with a respectable score, good enough to advance, but not impressive. See that? Ray pointed at the scoring display. He's relying entirely on natural ability. No technique, no adaptation. That's his weakness. Scales' turn came 20 minutes later. Walking to the starting platform felt like moving through deep water. Every eye in the arena seemed focused on him. The small bronze dragon who trained with the weird human coach. The failure trying to prove something that he spread his wings at the starting line. In his mind, he ran through Ray's visualization exercises. See the course. Feel the movements. Trust the training. The starting signal flashed. Scales dove into the first section, wings tucked for minimum resistance. The opening spiral came up fast. Instead of forcing his way through like Blaze had, he used his flexibility. His smaller body rolled through the rings with movements that looked almost like dancing. Each rotation was controlled, efficient, beautiful. The crowd's murmur changed tone. Surprise, maybe. Next came the precision section. 5 small targets, each requiring a direct flame hit while maintaining speed. Scales exhaled controlled bursts, the thin streams of fire he'd practiced for weeks. Target 1 hit. Target 2 hit. Target 3, perfect center. Target 4 hit. Target 5, dead center. Perfect score on the flame section. The crowd noise grew louder. The tight gap sequence challenged him. Narrow openings between moving obstacles, requiring split-second timing and exact body positioning. Scales flowed through them like water through cracks in stone. His smaller size, once a source of shame, became his advantage. He fit through gaps that bigger competitors had to avoid entirely, shaving precious seconds off his time that he crossed the finish line and pulled up into a controlled landing. The score display updated. 9th place overall, comfortably into the advancement round. The arena erupted in surprise chatter. Dragons in the crowd looked confused. How had the weak one scored so well? Ray was grinning like a fool when Scales landed in the competitor area. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. You flew exactly like we practiced. I just did what you taught me. No, you did what you learned. Big difference. Ray squeezed his shoulder with surprising strength for such an old human. That was all you up there. The second round cut the field to 15 competitors. The course difficulty increased dramatically, adding moving obstacles and requiring even tighter precision. Several favorites crashed out, their power-based techniques failing against the demanding technical requirements. Whistler, the bird-like alien, flew a stunning run that put him in 3rd place. His natural grace combined with proper technique made him a serious contender. Blaze advanced, but barely. His score dropped compared to the first round. The increased difficulty exposed his lack of refinement. He forced his way through obstacles that required finesse, accumulating penalty points for rule violations and course damage. Scales flew his second run with growing confidence. Everything Ray taught him clicked into place. The mental preparation, the visualization, the focus on efficiency over power. He moved through the course like he'd been born for this exact challenge. When his score posted, the arena went silent for a moment. 4th place. He'd jumped 5 positions. The semifinals would be the next day. Only 8 competitors remained. Scales, Blaze, Whistler, and 5 others. 3 would advance to the finals. That evening, Director Quillix summoned Ray to the administrative office. "The council wishes to meet you," Quillix said. "Your training methods have produced remarkable results. They want to understand how." "I just helped him use what he already had," Ray replied. "You did more than that. You challenged fundamental assumptions about dragon athletic training." Quillix's antennae twitched. Some council members are very interested. Others are very angry. Dragons do not like having their methods questioned. I'm not trying to insult anyone. I'm just trying to help one student. That one student is making people reconsider everything they think they know about strength and weakness. That is more threatening than any insult. Quillix paused. "Be careful. Blaze's clan has significant influence. They do not want to see him lose to someone they consider inferior." Ray snorted. "Scales isn't inferior. He's just different. In dragon culture, different and inferior are often the same thing." Back in the competitor quarters, Scales tried to rest, but couldn't. His mind kept replaying the day's runs, analyzing every movement. He'd actually done it. He'd competed with the best and held his own. A message alert chimed. Another note from his parents on Pyraxis. "We watched the broadcast. The whole clan is talking about you. Keep flying." For the first time in months, those words didn't feel like pressure. They felt like support. Tomorrow was the semifinals. Tomorrow, he'd find out if everything Ray taught him was truly enough to compete with the champions. Tomorrow, he'd face Blaze directly on a course that would decide who advanced to the finals. Scales closed his eyes and began his visualization exercises, seeing himself fly perfectly, trusting in the training, believing in the different path he'd chosen. The semifinal course was designed to break competitors. Organizers had added elements that tested not just skill, but endurance and mental toughness. Only 3 would advance to the finals. 5 would go home disappointed. Scales drew second in the flight order. Whistler would go first, Blaze last. "Stick to your strengths," Ray advised in the prep area. "Don't try to match anyone else's style. Fly your race." Whistler's run was poetry in motion. The bird-like alien's natural grace, combined with excellent technique, produced a nearly flawless performance. He completed the course with the day's best time, his precision on the flame target's absolute perfection. The crowd gave him a standing ovation. Then came Scales' turn. The course started with a deadly spiral descent through rotating rings. Timing was everything. Enter too early and the rings would clip your wings. Too late and you'd lose precious seconds. Scales waited for the exact moment Ray had taught him to recognize. Then Dove. The rings blurred past his vision. His flexible wings adjusted constantly, making micro-corrections that bigger, stiffer wings couldn't manage. He spiraled down through all 12 rings without a single touch, emerging at the bottom with perfect speed for the next section. The flame targets appeared rapidly, requiring shots while moving at high velocity. Scales exhaled his controlled bursts. Hit, hit, Mississippi hit, hit. The miss cost him points, but his other shots were perfect center strikes. Next came the nightmare section, a narrow canyon with walls that moved randomly. Sensors tracked each competitor's path, adjusting the walls to create maximum difficulty. Big competitors had to slow down or risk collision. Scales used his size advantage ruthlessly he dove into the canyon at full speed, his smaller body fitting through gaps that would crush larger flyers. The walls shifted and he shifted with them, reading the pattern, trusting his reflexes. Ray's balance training paid off as he rolled, twisted, and adjusted his flight path in ways that looked impossible. He emerged from the canyon 10 seconds faster than Whistler's time. The final obstacle was pure endurance. A vertical climb through turbulent air currents, then a controlled descent to a precision landing target no bigger than a dragon's body. Scales' wings burned with fatigue, but he pushed through. Using efficient movements to conserve energy, he landed dead center on the target. The score posted. Second place, just behind Whistler. Guaranteed advancement to the finals. The arena exploded with noise. The underdog bronze dragon had done it again. 0.3 more competitors flew. All good, none better than Scales or Whistler. The scoreboard showed 2 spots locked for the finals, 1 remaining. Then Blaze took the starting position. The Crimson Dragon looked furious. His pride had been wounded by Scales' success. Every movement radiated barely controlled rage. When the signal flashed, he attacked the course with violent intensity. The spiral descent became a disaster. Blaze's size and aggressive approach caused him to clip 2 rings, accumulating penalties. He snarled with frustration, but continued, pure determination driving him forward. His flame targeting was mediocre at best. He hit targets, but with poor accuracy, his powerful blasts too large for the small scoring zones. More lost points. The canyon section nearly eliminated him entirely. His massive wings scraped the walls multiple times. Warning lights flashed as he violated the contact limits. One more touch, and he'd be disqualified. He forced himself to slow down, barely fitting through the tightest sections, losing valuable time. But the vertical climb showed why Blaze was considered champion. His raw power and endurance were incredible. He climbed through the turbulent air like it didn't exist, his massive wings generating enough force to ignore the crosswinds that had troubled smaller competitors. His landing was adequate. Not perfect, but sufficient, the score calculated. Third place. Barely. Blaze had advanced to the finals, but by the smallest margin possible. The dragon who had mocked Scales for being weak had nearly been eliminated by a course that rewarded technique over power. The finals would be the next day. 3 competitors. Whistler in first, Scales in second, Blaze in third. The final course would determine the champion. That night, Blaze confronted Scales outside the dining hall. Other dragons surrounded them, creating a wall of scales and muscle. You think you've proven something? Blaze's voice was dangerously quiet. Tomorrow's course will destroy you. It's longer, harder, and requires strength you don't have. Maybe. Or maybe it requires something different than strength. There is nothing more important than strength. Blaze's roar echoed through the corridor. You're an embarrassment to every dragon. Training with a human, flying like you're some delicate little bird. You've forgotten what it means to be a dragon. No, Scalzri Plaid Gamli. I've learned what it means to be myself. Blaze lunged forward, but other dragons held him back. Tomorrow I will show everyone that the old ways are still the best ways. Power will always defeat your pathetic technique tricks. As the confrontation broke up, Whistler found Scales on the observation deck. He is terrified, the bird alien said simply. He doesn't look terrified. Fear often wears the mask of anger. If you win tomorrow, it proves his entire worldview wrong. That scares him more than physical danger ever could. Whistler's feathers ruffled in what might have been amusement. I hope you do win. The galaxy needs more proof that different approaches have value. You might win. Your run today was perfect, perhaps, but I've been flying my whole life. You have been learning for only weeks. If you defeat me, I will lose to someone extraordinary. There is no shame in that. Ray found Scales an hour before rest period. The old human looked tired but satisfied. Tomorrow's the day, Ray said. Everything we've worked for comes down to one flight. I'm nervous. Good. Nervous means you care. Just remember, you've already won by getting this far. Nobody expected you to make the finals. Ray smiled. But between you and me, I think you can win the whole thing. How can you be sure? Because I've watched you transform from someone who didn't believe in himself into someone who trusts his own abilities. That's harder than any physical course. Ray gripped Scales' shoulder. Tomorrow, fly like you've been flying. Don't change anything to impress judges or prove doubters wrong. Just be yourself. That's been enough to get you here. It'll be enough to finish the job. Scales nodded, feeling the weight of tomorrow settling on his wings. The finals. Against the best flyer in the competition and the dragon who had tormented him for months, he closed his eyes and began his visualization, seeing himself fly the perfect race, trusting everything Ray had taught him, believing in the different path that had brought him so far. Tomorrow would determine everything. Finals day dawned with unexpected weather. Station Olympus 7's environmental controls had malfunctioned slightly, creating wind currents through the arena that would make flying even more challenging. Some competitors might have seen it as bad luck. Scale saw it as one more obstacle to adapt to. The arena was completely packed. Word had spread about the bronze dragon who trained with the human coach, the underdog who had made it to the finals against all expectations. Beings from across the galaxy filled every seat, and millions more watched on broadcast throughout known space. In the competitor area, Blaze paced like a caged predator. His clan had sent representatives to watch, their presence adding pressure to his already strained composure. He needed to win. Not just wanted to win, needed to. His entire identity depended on proving that traditional dragon methods were superior. Whistler stretched his wings calmly, preparing his body for the demanding course ahead. He acknowledged Scales with a respectful nod. No words needed. They both knew what was at stake. Ray gave Scales a final briefing. The course is twice as long as the semifinals. It'll test everything: precision, endurance, mental toughness, adaptability. But you've trained for all of it. What if I make a mistake? Then you correct it and keep flying. Perfection isn't required. Persistence is. Ray smiled. Remember what we learned on day one. You're not playing their game anymore. You're playing yours. The flight order was determined by semi-final standings. Whistler first, Scales second, Blaze last. Whistler flew like an artist creating a masterpiece. Every movement was calculated, graceful, efficient. He navigated the extended course with a kind of natural ability that made it look easy. His flame precision was flawless. His timing through obstacles was perfect. He crossed the finish line with a score that seemed impossible to beat. The crowd roared their approval. Whistler had flown the race of his life. Now came Scales' turn. Walking to the starting platform, Scales felt strangely calm. All the training, all the doubt, all the mockery had led to this single moment. He thought about Ray's words. Play your own game. The signal flashed. Scales launched into the course with smooth efficiency. The opening section featured the rotating rings from the semifinals, but now there were twice as many and they rotated in opposite directions. Chaos for most competitors. An opportunity for Scales. His flexibility advantage shone immediately. He twisted through the rings like smoke, his smaller body allowing rotations that bigger flyers couldn't attempt. Where Whistler had flown with grace, Scales flew with controlled chaos that somehow worked perfectly. The flame targets appeared in rapid succession. 12 targets instead of 5, each smaller than before, some moving. Scales exhaled his precise bursts. hit, 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 Mississippi hit, 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 Mississippi hit, 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 10 out of 12 perfect strikes. Not flawless like Whistler, but still exceptional. Then came the new obstacle, a spherical cage of laser grids that competitors had to navigate without touching. The pattern shifted constantly. Whistler had taken it slowly, sacrificing time for safety. Scales made a different choice. He dove into the sphere at speed, reading the laser patterns, trusting his reflexes and the balance training Ray had drilled into him for weeks. His body twisted, rolled, and adjusted with movements that looked more like swimming than flying. He emerged from the sphere 5 seconds faster than Whistler. The canyon section from the semifinals had been extended and made narrower. The walls moved faster now, the gap smaller. Scales' size advantage became crucial. He flew through openings that Whistler had to avoid, his smaller wings fitting through spaces that would have been impossible for larger competitors. The endurance climb was brutal. Scales' wings screamed with fatigue, but he pushed through, using every efficient technique Ray had taught him. Don't waste energy on show. Use only what's necessary. At the top of the climb came the final challenge. A precision dive through a series of hoops to a landing target, all while fighting the arena's unexpected wind currents. Scales tucked his wings and dove. The wind tried to push him off course. He adjusted, using the currents instead of fighting them. Another lesson from Ray: work with forces, don't battle them. He threaded through the hoops and hit the landing target with enough accuracy to avoid penalties. The score calculated. The arena went completely silent. First place. Scales had beaten Whistler by 3 points. The silence broke into chaotic noise. Half the crowd cheered. Half seemed stunned into disbelief. The weak dragon had just posted the best score of the competition, but one competitor remained. Blaze, the Crimson Dragon, took the starting position with visible fury. This was his moment to prove everything, to show that power and traditional methods would always triumph over technique and human training tricks. He flew with desperate aggression. The rotating rings suffered from his violent approach. He clipped several, accumulating penalties. His rage was making him sloppy. The flame targets exposed his weakness. He hit them, but with terrible precision. His powerful blasts were too large, too unfocused. Half his shots missed the scoring zones entirely. The laser sphere nearly disqualified him. He tried to force through instead of reading the patterns. Alarms blared as he violated the contact limits. He slowed down enough to avoid disqualification, but lost massive amounts of time. In the canyon, his size became a curse. He couldn't fit through the tightest gaps. He had to take longer routes, falling further behind with each section. The endurance climb showed his raw power, but by then the damage was done. He'd accumulated too many penalties, lost too much time. His landing was rough, scraping the edge of the target zone. The final score posted. Third place. Behind both Scales and Whistler, Blaze had lost. The ceremony happened in a daze. Scales stood on the first-place platform, a medal hanging around his neck, while thousands of beings cheered. Whistler stood beside him with grace and genuine happiness. Blaze stood rigid on the third-place platform, his expression carved from stone. Later, Ray found Scales in the quiet of the competitor area. "You did it. You really did it. We did it," Scales corrected. "Without your training, I'd still be the failure everyone thought I was." "No, you were never a failure. You just needed someone to show you a different path." Ray's eyes were wet. "I'm proud of you. More than you know." The following days brought unexpected changes. Director Quillix offered Ray a permanent position, establishing new training programs. Other athletes who'd been labeled weak or inadequate began requesting his coaching methods, but Scales' clan sent an official message. The elders still disapproved of his unorthodox approach, but his younger siblings were asking questions, wanted to learn the techniques that had won him a Galactic championship. Blaze never apologized. He withdrew from the academy shortly after the finals, unable to face the proof that his worldview was incomplete. But other dragons stayed and asked questions. How did the small one win? What did the human teach him? Could we learn these methods too? The real victory wasn't the medal. It was watching other athletes realize that different didn't mean weak, that there were multiple paths to success, that sometimes the strongest thing you could do was stop trying to be someone else and start being the best version of yourself. Ray eventually returned to Earth, but his legacy remained. The Academy established the foster training program for athletes with non-traditional body types or abilities. Scales became an instructor, teaching others what Ray had taught him. Years later, a tiny dragon arrived at the Academy. Smaller even than Scales had been, ridiculed by his clan for being weak. He stood in the observation deck, contemplating quitting. Scales found him there, just as Ray had found him. "Tell me something," Scales said. "When you practice, whose techniques do you copy?" The young dragon looked confused. "The champions. The big ones. That's what you're supposed to do, right?" "No," Scales said with a smile. "That's what I used to do. Let me show you a different way." And the cycle continued, different paths spreading through the galaxy, one student at a time.